Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of DniceKnits. My name is Denise, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at DniceKnits515. I'd like to thank my returning and new viewers for watching, and I hope you stick around for more episodes. Today, I'm going to talk about finished objects, my works in progress, and some future knitting. So first I have my finished objects, which are 2 pairs of shorty socks. Since I declared it the summer of shorty socks, I have made 6 pairs of shorty socks, which is not bad, and I think it's officially the shorty sock summer because I have another pair of shorty socks on my needles. So first is socks that I've shown before, and I only had one done, and I didn't do these in tandem. So I have these with my stitch markers and this. I had won this yarn from a podcast before, and I don't remember what it is, but it was brown and white, and I dyed it with Kool-Aid to like this blue teal color, which is more in my wheelhouse. So this is my basic recipe for socks. I use a 2.5 millimeter needle, and I start with, here we go, Judy's Magic Cast On, up to 60 stitches, and then I do 65 rows, which I use these light bulb stitch markers to count every 10 rows because I lose count. And then I do a fish lips kiss heel, and then I did this one. I went straight into the ribbing. I didn't do any foot because it's a shorty sock. So it has 20 rows of ribbing. And then I use Jenny's surprisingly stretchy, yes, Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off with a size 5 needle, which makes it a little wonky and flares out, but it fits over my heel very well. And I don't have to worry about like breaking the cast off, because when I first did it, it was really tight and I thought I would break it. So that's one pair. And then my second pair I showed last time I podcast, and this was yarn from Germany that my mom's friend sent me. So I have two pairs. I really like them. I think it turned out really good. I only had, I think it was 27 grams of this color, of the German yarn, and these I did in tandem. So I did the toe, and then the toe, and then the leg, and then the leg, and then the heel, and the heel, and then I went until I almost ran out. Until I ran out, pretty much. I cut the yarn when I had maybe a yard left, and I just did it. Then I did a round of black so that you won't get a purl bump when you switch to purling. And then I did 12 rounds of the black. And the black is Deborah Norville Premier Simply Serenity sock in the black colorway. And then my Progress Keepers are from Walmart. Yeah. And these turned out so nice. I like them a lot, and I think they're really cute, like colorful shorty socks. So that is my only finished projects. I went from project to project this week. I don't know why, like I couldn't just focus on one project, which is probably why I have so many projects on the go, because then I can just go from one to one and they'll get done eventually. Everything's a gift, or for me, so there's no really timeline of when I have to finish them. So my works in progress, I have one pair of socks on the needles, which is weird for me. I usually have 2 to 3 pairs on the needles because when I get to the heel, I'll stop, and then I'll pick up another and do the toe, and then I'll stop. And so these I'm also doing in tandem. This is yarn I got from Sweden in a swap that I did with Marta, and it's called Pro Lana Sock and Wool 230. I had to write it down because I couldn't remember. And these I'm doing in tandem too. I think I said that already. So I did the toe, same pattern, same formula, 2.5 needles, 60 stitches, and then I did the toe on here and the toe on here, and then I did 65 rows and 65 rows, and I'm on the heel of both of them, and I just haven't done it yet. And these again is my Walmart. This one I think I got from Walmart, and then this one I think I bought at AC Moore, and I made this one myself with a earring back closure, and it was just like a set of charms. And then this ball, I think it's 55 grams, and usually the yarns don't get as tangled, but they are right now. And I work from the outside and from the inside of the ball. So the inside of the ball yarn, and then the outside. so that's the only socks I have on the needles right now. And then I am making a scarf for my mom out of Lion Brand Mandala and the Unicorn colorway. And this is only half of the ball because there was a break in the ball. So instead of carrying both two, I only had one in my project bag, and then the other one is away right now. So when I finish this little ball, I'll go get the other half. So this is it right here, and I am making this scarf vertically. So I cast on 270 stitches, and I put a stitch marker every 50 stitches of my cast on so that I don't have to count 200. So I only have to count 50, 50, 50, 50. And I wanted the stripes to go vertically. So yeah, I'm just knitting and knitting and knitting. Where is it? There's an end somewhere here. Okay, so here's the end of the scarf. So that will be like the bottom edge of the scarf. And then I have a stitch marker on here. It's a watermelon stitch marker, which I'll put so I can remember where I was at the end of this podcast. And then I was working on a scarf during my knit group because my socks were at the heel. And I kept messing up this easy scarf pattern. It's called the One Row Wonder. And I cast on 100 stitches, and you only have to, you have to increase a stitch here in the middle, which I have a Katrinkle stitch marker there. Right there, my penguin stitch marker. So you increase one here and one at each end. So you only increase 3 times every single row. Every row is exactly the same, One Row Wonder, and I messed up, I think 3 times. I kept forgetting to increase on one end of the row because you have to increase every row. So I would go back and I'd be like, oh my God, I didn't increase in the beginning of that row. So I just kept taking it out and restarting it during my knit group. But then I got it at the end. I don't know, I just needed to focus. And it's crazy because I always say that I only knit stockinette in the round or garter stitch, and that is why. Because I can't even keep like a 1 row pattern and not mess up. But I haven't messed up since my knitting group. I think I only added like maybe this little much, maybe 3 or 4 rows since my knitting group. And I really like this yarn. It is called Premier Yarn Sweet Rolls in the Frosty, I wrote it down, Frosty Swirl colorway. And I really like it. It's blues. No surprise there. And my mother-in-law gave me this for Christmas. So I think this is going to be for me, probably. Yes, it's going to be for me. Or maybe I'll give it to my grandmother-in-law. I don't know. Oh, and I gave my grandmother-in-law her blanket finally in August. And she loved it. So it makes me so happy. And that is why she will continue to get like knitted and crocheted things from me, because she is just the best receiver of gifts. Just the best. Sorry, tangent. So my last work in progress is a tale of woe. So I have been working on a Gaptastic Cowl, and I have, I think, 3 of them or 2 of them. So this yarn is Nicole Studio Sample, and it's just like a sample, it's a sample yarn, and this one is bulky, and I have it in worsted, DK, and it's only $1 for this skein. And so this is, I think, 3 skeins of it all together. And then I started binding off, and I realized that I had this ball still in my project bag because I guess I wanted it to be wider. So I started binding off, and then while I was binding off, I don't know if you can see that, this is supposed to be a seed stitch. Yes, a seed stitch, very easy, you know, knit 1 per 1 on an uneven number. So you cast on 131, but I think I did 151 on this. And you cast on, and I used a 10.5 needle, Susan Bates needle, which I like. I got this at Joann's, I think. And so you're supposed to do, you know, knit, purl, and it's a seed stitch. But I noticed as I was binding off, see, I started binding off, that there is a whole half a row or a lot of stitches. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get really close. Of ribbing. I messed up. And it's like all the way down here, all the way in the middle. So I'm like, should I rip it out and do it again? It is not much. So I think I might, well, I'm gonna take out the bind off because I have another skein, and I'm going to use this skein and make it wider, a wider scarf. And then while I am, oh my God, it's so long. And while I think I might rip down, like take out a stitch, go all the way down and fix it with a crochet hook. Because I've done that before. I haven't done a crochet hook fix when it's that far down into like half of the project. And this hole right here is just where I switched yarns. And I switched yarns right in the middle of my mess up. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to go down, and if I'll just rip it out and I'll tell you all about it, I guess. So that's that project, and it's gonna sit and think about itself because it messed up, not me. So my future projects, I have three maybe. I have been on Instagram a lot lately, Ravelry lately, looking up future projects. So I think that I'm bored with the projects I'm making, and that's why I keep like going from project to project, thinking like, oh, maybe I'll like this one. I don't know. So I have given blankets to charity. It's called the Linus Project, and they have a group that meets at my library that I go to sometimes, that they make blankets for foster children, and I have crocheted a few, I think like 4 or 5, and I'm gonna, when my daughter goes to kindergarten full time, I'm going to go to the group because she'll be in school, so I don't have to worry about picking her up early or half day preschool. So I have started, I think maybe 4 months ago. It was in the winter. No, it was the fall. I mean, the spring. I started this granny stitch blanket. It's just a basic granny square blanket. Let me fold it in half. It's pretty big, but I like to finish the yarn that I have, and I have a lot of yarn. This too was a Germany yarn that my mother's friend gave me, and it was a big skein, and it 500 grams, 1,000 meters, 1,125 meters, and it's all in German. So I know it's acrylic because I looked it up on Instagram. Oh my God, I looked it up on Ravelry, and so I know it's acrylic yarn. And you can tell by feeling it. So I'm going to finish this big old ball of yarn and go to the group and do it there. So that's my future project. And I want to make a shawl for my grandmother-in-law, my husband's grandmother, out of black, because I made her a shawl out of a Lion Brand Mandela yarn that was blue and black, and she wears her shawl to church. So I think maybe a black shawl and maybe like a cream shawl might be a good idea. But I know she wants a heavier weight one, so I won't be making it out of fingering. I'll probably just use acrylic yarn that I already have. And then my last future project is it's called a Monster Cowl. It's on Instagram. And two people, one, she used to have a podcast called like the Hungry Cat podcast, but she doesn't podcast anymore. And they do it's called the Monster Sock, where it's a bunch of scrap yarns. And I did one last year, and I used all blue scrap yarns, surprise, to make like a blue scrappy yarn monster sock. And this year I want to do that again, but I also want to try my hand at helical knitting, where you use 3 skeins of yarn. And so I'm using 3 10-gram minis, 20-gram minis, sorry. So I have this one and this one. These I got from Barbara of the Knitting I Love podcast. This one and this one is from Barbara from the Knitting I Love podcast, and this one is from Marta, the person I swapped with from Sweden. And I put a post on my Instagram that I want to swap my leftovers with someone. So if you see this and you want to swap leftovers, you can go to my Instagram, and I have like 20 something gram leftovers from socks that I've made that I want to swap with somebody, so I can have like their 20-gram leftovers, and we can swap 20-gram leftovers and make socks and monster socks, because I have all these leftovers and I don't want to use them again, really. I want somebody else to enjoy them. So that's all of my future sock knitting, and I'll probably be doing a little bit more than sock knitting. This summer I've knit a lot of socks, so fall is coming soon enough. I do like fall. I don't like snow or driving through snow. So fall and spring are my favorite seasons, but winter is not my favorite at all. As a knitter, that's probably weird to say, but winter is coming, so I need to make some scarves and some blankets for people and for myself. And I think that's all. So I hope you enjoyed. Like and comment and like below, subscribe, all those things. And thank you for watching. Bye.